Hi all, I'm working on installing the Eberspacher Airtronic S2 D2L into our Opus off-road camper. It's an OP4 2021 delivery. So this is how I've laid out all of the parts. I'm giving it a test run outside the camper really because I want to try and see how hot the parts get during operation to make sure that I don't put it somewhere where things are going to get too hot. So I'll go through how everything's connected. We'll start with the fuel. So what I've done, I've just got a jerry can with some diesel in it, and I've put on a piece of the connector tubing, just so it sits right at the bottom for the moment. That then comes through and connects to the pump. There's a little arrow on the electric connector that shows which direction the pump pumps. The plug points back towards the jerry can. So there's some fuel line that then comes into the fuel connector in the heater itself. The manual says that these fuel lines need to be right up abutting the next connection inside. I found the best way of doing that is just to squirt a little bit of WD-40 down the tubing itself, and then it goes nice and easy. You can feel quite nicely when it's up at the end. The connections down from the bottom are pretty simple. They're the tube next to the fuel pump is an inlet, and that's for air going into the combustion chamber that uses this black hose. And then there's a little arrow showing that that's the exhaust, and that's where this metal pipe goes. That goes through to the muffler and then out towards the end. There are some little plastic pieces, a little black one that goes onto the end of the intake, and a little metal one that has a dimple on it that can screw on to the end of the of the exhaust. The manual says that this length between the heater and the muffler needs to be a minimum of 20 centimeters, and the total length can't be more than 2 meters from the heater to the end of the exhaust. So once I end up installing it, I'll cut that to size as we need. I'll go through some of the attachments for the hosing really. This is a floor plate that we got with it that'll sit. We have to drill a hole this diameter in the bottom of the camper. It'll sit like this and protruding down beneath the camper. The Airtronic will sit on top of this, and this will be flush with the floor. There's only one way it can go in because of the fuel inlet there. There are these heavy-duty, really thick metal connectors that hold the exhaust. There's 3 of them, so they can just go there. We got this, I think, for attaching the muffler to the body of the camper. The manual shows that this is quite a longer piece, but this is all we got, so I'm assuming that that's what we're going to use. I'm just going to attach it like this and screw it on somehow. We'll work that out once we're down there. Otherwise, there's a simple screw ring that goes around this one. All of the petrol lines have these pretty sturdy clips that are screw in, and there'll need to be one at each place where there's a hose, so on this side and also on that side, so 2 essentially for each join. The output of the heater has this ducting, so that'll have this ring around it, and there's another ring that'll sit on the output of the heater itself. And on the inlet side where it takes the air in, there's this grid that just sits on top. It just screws in over the top. So I'll look through walk through the electronics. This was the most complicated bit to get sorry. This is also for the exhaust. This is the bit that the air will come out of. So that a hole needs to be drilled that diameter to take the ducting, and then that'll be screwed in through these little guys, and then that can sit on top to direct the airflow in a particular direction. We'll see how that works. With the heater itself, this is the electronic cable that comes out of it. You can switch the sides of it, and I actually did that. It's pretty easy. Without this guy on top, you can unclip from this side and on the other side. This piece of plastic comes off, and what you do is you just lift up the metal heater itself. It's one unit just inside this, and it's not screwed down to anything. So all you do is you lift it up about 1/2 inch, and that's enough for you to move this cable out underneath it and swing it across to the other side. The other side has a plastic piece in this position, which you actually can just pull out and move to the other side so that you're not left with a hole. It's quite nice. And then this just slides in. And then just pop the metal part of the heater back and clip this guy back on. And that was that. It was much easier than I thought it would be. So now over to the electric cabling. So we'll start off with this, I don't know what to call this loom that has all these outputs to it. It's very daunting, but luckily things can only fit in one place, so it's pretty hard to get it wrong. But so this big adapter is where the heater itself clips in. Each of these have a little divot on them that clips in to a particular side, so that'll help with knowing which way to put them in. If you're stuck, you can have a little look at the coloring of the cables, and they just need to match side by side. So yellow, red, white here, yellow,